Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I'll be giving you an update on the 6th season of Better Call Saul. If this is your first time here, my name is Eric and this is one of 2 channels I run where I talk about all the characters and stories I love, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for future videos. I've released a bunch of Better Call Saul videos this year, and I also just released a video essay on Breaking Bad as part of the One Villainous Scene project that I will link here and in the description if you would like to check it out. The 6th season of Better Call Saul has been filming since March 10, 2021 in and around Albuquerque, New Mexico, but on July 27th, Bob Odenkirk suffered a heart attack on set. It was a very scary moment, and given the events of the past year or so, many were concerned that Mr. Odenkirk may have gotten COVID or something related. Details were sparse at first, but after around 24 hours, friends and family started to post messages on their social media accounts that Mr. Odenkirk was doing alright. On July 30th, Bob Odenkirk himself took to social media and let fans know that he was doing better and why he was rushed to the hospital. Since then, a few more details have come out about the incident, and according to star Tony Dalton, he and Bob Odenkirk were filming a scene together when it happened. The interview took place with a Mexican publication named Quien, so I apologize if my Google Translate is not 100% accurate. But in the interview, Mr. Dalton confirmed that they were filming an intense scene together, but that people rushed to Mr. Odenkirk's aid quickly and that he would be fine. It is easy to forget that the show does film in New Mexico, which can get pretty hot in July, and this cast is used to filming 13+ hour days. In that same article, Mr. Dalton also states that he has spoken with Bob Odenkirk since the incident and that he is doing well and ready to get back to work. Depending on the individual, it is common and mostly recommended that a person take 4 to 6 weeks off from work if possible after a heart attack, and this video is being recorded about 4 weeks after this incident. So while Bob Odenkirk may want to return to work now, it would seem that he would not be able to film any scenes as Saul Goodman for at least a few more weeks. Mr. Dalton stated as much by saying that Bob Odenkirk would first have to convince his doctors and his wife before getting the go-ahead to return to filming. While Mr. Odenkirk may be a bit long in the teeth, as his character Saul Goodman might say, he is in good shape and in fact just played a total badass in the movie Nobody. In case you have not seen it, you should stop your plans for today and watch it, and then watch my video on the movie right after. But this does not mean that no filming has been done on the 6th season of Better Call Saul since Bob Odenkirk left the set. According to multiple sources, the series has changed around their production schedule so that scenes that do not include the Saul Goodman character can be completed in his absence. That amount of filming, though, is about to wrap up, with the cast and crew expected to take a small break before Bob Odenkirk can return. Mr. Odenkirk has been very active on social media, and I'm sure that he has been communicating with the producers and cast in his absence, so while he is not physically on set, I'm sure that he's been very involved in the process. In the past, the show has been able to complete filming for a season in or around 6 months, but 2021 was already different before this unforeseen medical emergency occurred. It has been estimated that on average, any large network production like Better Call Saul has seen at least a 20% increase in both production costs and filming time. Plus, while past seasons of this show have been 10 episodes a season, this final season was reported to be 13 episodes, much like how its predecessor Breaking Bad increased its episode count to 16 episodes from 13 for its final run. Taking all this into account, it would stand to reason that the show was at least 85% completed with filming before Mr. Odenkirk left the production and possibly starting to film the final episode. If this is the case, this could mean that only a few weeks of filming remain, but given the circumstances, I'm sure that the show's producers will err on the side of caution and allow for a slower and calmer production schedule with shorter days almost certain. Given that we know that Bob Odenkirk will be okay, thankfully, and is returning to film his scenes this season, we can now obsess again about when we will actually get to see the final run of the series. Initially, series executive producer Peter Gould had stated that while the final season had more episodes like the final season of Breaking Bad, that he did not want to release it over 2 years like that series did. At that time, I remember that it really ticked me off that I had to wait almost a year to see the second half of the final season of Breaking Bad, and that it basically worked out that we got 2 shorter seasons rather than just 1 long final season. But now that Breaking Bad has been out for a while, and I can watch it whenever I want, it doesn't matter to me, and I think a lot of fans of the show feel the same way. So taking that into account, I would not be surprised if we find out that AMC will only release the first half of the final season of Better Call Saul in 2022. The show has been released at all times of the year in the past, but I'm guessing that AMC will release the first half of season 6 starting in April of 2022 and air the first 6 or so episodes before taking a hiatus. Now I know that this is a day and age where a lot of series get released all at once so that you can binge watch it, but shows like Better Call Saul feel more like a fillet than just a steak and should be savored and not just consumed. I love binge watching both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, But these shows' writers, producers, and characters are so good at keeping you on the edge of your seat that it makes the journey almost as fun as the destination. And if anything, the journey is what Better Call Saul is about, since we do know what happens to at least the main character. And honestly, I think it is a couple of characters whose fate we do not know that are really what fans are wondering about, and that is the fate of the characters Nacho Varga and Kim Wexler. In the case of Nacho Varga, last season left him in a worse place than he started in, which seems to be a trend for the character season over season. After the botched attempt on the life of Lalo Salamanca, played wonderfully by the aforementioned Tony Dalton, and the fact that Lalo seemed to understand that Nacho was involved, this no doubt means that the two characters are headed towards each other once again. Given the location though, and the fact that Nacho is not aware of the area but Lalo is, there's a good chance that it won't take long for the two to catch up. Also, Tony Dalton did state that he was filming an intense scene with Bob Odenkirk when Mr. Odenkirk was taken to the hospital, and it is fair to assume that they are filming scenes toward the end of the season, so perhaps we will finally understand why Saul thought Walt and Jesse were working for Lalo in the first episode Saul Goodman appeared in on Breaking Bad, and that it had to do with Nacho. This is one mystery that I can't wait to be solved, as that one line seems to be the backbone of what this series was based on. There's also the fate of Kim Wexler to consider, as Rhea Seehorn does not appear in Breaking Bad as the character, nor is she mentioned. Jimmy is obviously different by the time we meet him on Breaking Bad, so there is no doubt that what happens with Nacho, Lalo, and Kim pushed Jimmy towards being the Saul Goodman we know and love. There was also the very cryptic scene in the Better Call Saul episode titled Quite a Ride, in which we were shown a flash forward to Jimmy as Saul, along with Francesca, clearing out his office during the events of the 5th season of Breaking Bad. In that scene, Saul is getting ready to escape into criminal relocation by using Ed Galbraith, but tells Francesca to be by a certain phone on November 12th, his birthday. Kim and Jimmy have spent a lot of time talking on the phone and leaving each other messages over the course of the series, so I have to think that this phone call is in fact from Kim. I also believe that she was the first person to use Ed Galbraith on the show, and this is the reason why Jimmy knows that he will be working at a Cinnabon in Nebraska before it actually happens. If he knows someone that has used Ed's services before, then it would make sense that he would know exactly where he would end up. This also means that something pretty big had to happen with Kim in order for her to move away from her life in New Mexico. We already know that she does not have any family, and the only friends we see her with besides Jimmy are her colleagues. So if anyone on the show, it would probably be easiest for her to relocate and disappear. This would also explain why Jimmy, or Saul, does not ever speak of her to anyone on Breaking Bad, because if Kim is supposed to be hiding out like we see Jimmy do in Nebraska, then he would not want anyone to know about her at all. There are also the scenes in Nebraska that we have seen on Better Call Saul over its 5 seasons, which seem to be coming to some sort of resolution as well. Last season, a cab driver recognized Jimmy, now Gene Tekovic, as Saul Goodman, which immediately frightened Jimmy, but in the end, it looks like he resolved to handle this himself. What this means is not clear yet, but unlike Walt, Jimmy has never been shown to be a very violent man, so I would not expect him to suddenly turn into his character in the movie Nobody and beat the crap out of this guy. But let me know in the comments, how do you think the last season of Better Call Saul is going to turn out? Well, that is all I have this week, but thank you very much for clicking on this video. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?